to everyone. Khadija, so good to hear from you from Ghana. And can we also send a reminder to the group as well for others to join in? Vanessa from Lagos, Zezi from Nigeria, Godwin from Ghana, Elamin from Nigeria. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Where is Manuela? Okay, Ella. Most active fellow. Esther from Nigeria. Let's keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Great, great, great. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, so we'll start very soon. We'll start very, very soon because we do not want to keep our speakers waiting because they prepared a lot for us and they are ready to just dive in. And we are also ready. And we are also ready to glean from their knowledge and wealth of experience. Once again, I welcome everyone. Congratulations once again for joining the Cohort 5 Fellowship. Thank you once again to our speakers for honoring this invitation and for making out time to be able to impact future leaders in global health, public health, and even in this pharmacy profession. Thank you so much. So we'll have other fellows joining as we move on in the opening ceremony. In this opening ceremony, I'm also happy to share that we have the alumni. Some of the alumni would also join us in this opening ceremony, and also along the line, we'd also get to have alumni spotlights. And even in addition to all that we have learned about Pharma Incubation of Fellowship yesterday, we'd also get to hear firsthand from the alumni themselves. And I'm sure that you'll be so excited and prepare yourself. And also, I want to urge everyone to get your notepads and pen ready. Well done to the fellow that shared the summary of what we had yesterday from the onboarding session. I'm also looking forward to active fellows to jot down so that you can also share on your LinkedIn and also on other social media platforms all that you have gained, from today's opening ceremony. So the cohorts are started. Everything you need to start learning has started. So it's not just opening ceremony. We have already started. So start picking up what you need to pick up, start picking up the points, start picking up everything you need to pick up from today. And if you also have questions, we have a session or a time for questions and answer, even in this opening ceremony. So please jot down your questions and get ready and prepared. Please, if you're ready to receive, I want to see if you put the fire emoji in the chat box. If you're ready to glean from the wealth of experience from our speakers today, let me see the fire emoji in the chat box. Yes, thank you, Victor. Thank you, Manuela. Thank you. So I'll hand over to Joy to introduce our keynote speaker, Pharmacist Maurice Nyarko, and then we'll have Pharmacist Maurice take the floor. Okay, since Joy is not here, so I'll just go ahead to read Pharmacist Maurice bio. Okay. Pharmacist Maurice Nyarko is a pharmacist and an accomplished business leader with over 18 years of experience cutting across various roles within the industry and in various sub-Saharan African countries. It's good that we also have fellows from different countries in Africa as well. Pharmacist Maurice Nyarko's journey in the pharmaceutical industry has been marked by rapid growth and significant contributions, starting as a medical sales representative and ascending quickly through the ranks, leveraging on good leadership and influencing skills. He graduated as a pharmacist from Pharma University of Science and Technology and holds masters in business administration with a focus on project management. He is renowned for mentoring and developing a number of current and emerging business leaders in the pharmaceutical industry across Africa. Pharmacist Maurice is a multiple award winner, including Best Medical Representative in Sub-Saharan Africa. Can I get some clap in the chat box, because this is a lot. Best Key Account Manager in Sub-Saharan Africa twice, Manager of the Year in Sub-Saharan Africa, and a recipient of the Circle of Excellence Award twice. A company global award reserved for the top 5% of company employees. Currently the country manager of AstraZeneca Nigeria, is credited with re-establishing the company's footprint in Nigeria, building and leading a team of highly skilled and talented young industry professionals who have ambition to become the next generation of industry leaders. Beyond his remarkable career, Pharmacist Maurice is passionate about various interests, including reading, music, photography, and sports. This diverse passion enriches his perspective and contributes to his success as a dynamic leader, influencer, and speaker. Pharmacist Maurice's speaking style is engaging, insightful, and inspiring. With a wealth of experience in pharmaceutical leadership, talent development, and project management, Pharmacist Maurice delivers talks that empowers and motivate audiences to excel in their careers and embrace leadership opportunity. With the clap emoji, can we kindly, with the way we do it as PIH fellows, kindly welcome Pharmacist Maurice Nyarko. Pharmacist Maurice Nyarko, you have the floor now, sir.
Omalayo, you are so kind. You are so kind. Good morning. It's afternoon already. Let me share my screen and we can begin. Hi, everyone. Can you confirm you can see me and you can hear me as well?
Perfectly, we can.
Great. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Is it really afternoon? I think it's afternoon in Nigeria. It's afternoon in East Africa. It should still be morning in Ghana, right? First and first, congratulations. I think you made it into this program. They say for many were chosen. I mean, many were called, but few were chosen. And I remember engaging from Taiwo, and she tells me there were close to 500 applicants for this program. So for you to be here today means you're definitely doing something right. Very right, actually. And I am excited to have you as my audience. It's great to see so many different young, ambitious pharmacy students from different countries in Africa. And I hope that we are ready to learn. So I schooled in Ghana And when I was a student, there was only one pharmacy school producing roughly about 100 students every year. Today, there are roughly, I think, about 7 pharmacy schools producing between 600 to 700 students every year in Ghana. So I really wanted to get some data. Ethiopia has close to about 4 pharmacy schools, I think 4 pharmacy schools. And the latest data I have, which was I think about 6-7 years ago, shows we have about 1,900 pharmacists in Ethiopia. 7 years down the line, my estimation is that we should have probably maybe about 2,700 today. South Africa, about 10 different pharmacy schools, and we have about 20,000 pharmacists in the country. Got a few data for Kenya, for Uganda. Now, I am currently based in Nigeria, and here we have about 23 different institutions producing between 2,000 to 3,000 pharmacists every year. I'm sure you're probably looking at these numbers and it's seeming like a progressively choking environment, right? Like, will you have a job when you're out of school? But I think the bigger question is, are there still opportunities in pharmacy? And of course, it is a big yes for me. And I strongly believe that these are the times to be getting yourselves into programs like these, connecting with knowledge, connecting with mentors, connecting with seminars, right? And it could be a rough marketplace if you don't know where to look. But for those who know where to look, the opportunities are there. They are huge, and they could be very fulfilling as well. So my topic is a very straightforward one: the evolving role of pharmacists in modern healthcare delivery. Now, I'll probably do this in 20 minutes, right? And then the other 20 minutes we will spend emphasizing certain other critical beats that I believe every young professional or aspiring professional will need to pay attention to succeed in your transition from school into the workplace. So if I asked you today, how many different areas of pharmacy practice do you know? I'm sure you probably would say hospital, academia, community, industry, and maybe regulatory. Now, I will touch a bit on these and maybe briefly on a few other emerging areas as well. But I have come to the personal realization that pharmacy is probably one of the most versatile courses you could ever read. After training, the opportunities are there and they are limitless. We've seen pharmacists cross over from pharma to be leaders in almost every sector you can think of. From law to banking to insurance, oil and gas, information technology, we are there, right? So I am hoping that you keep a very open mind and you should be ready to spread your wings as well. And you should be ready to fly. One fun fact about me. So I grew up dreaming and believing I was going to be an amazing chef, cooking and serving people in a ship. And as fate will have it, here I am today speaking to you as a proud pharmacist, right? So the plot twist here, it may be a fun fact about you some years to come. Could be that you once aspired to be a pharmacist serving people humbly in your local community, but then you became the global CEO of a multi-billion-dollar pharma empire. Or maybe you could become the president of your country, the president of Nigeria, Uganda, Ghana, Morocco, right? Just never stop dreaming. So talking about our roles as future pharmacists, I'm going to attempt to lead a discussion. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert in every area of the profession, but I think there is a lot to share with you, and there is a lot for us to touch on. And then we read a little bit more, we connect with mentors, and we begin to shape exactly the direction we want to go. Now, let's begin with hospital pharmacy. Can we really have a conversation about the evolving role of pharmacists without talking about hospital? I doubt so. I doubt. This remains for me one of the very key traditional areas of practice, but with a lot of evolving specializations, right? I dare say hospital pharmacy will remain relevant for a very, very long time. And in terms of evolving practice, we have more and more pharmacists specializing in relevant clinical areas. We have more and more pharmacists being positioned as effective partners in world rounds, driving value and collaboration with our healthcare givers. Their inputs are sharp, critical, respected. Talk about diagnosis, monitoring, and appropriate management choices for patients. Today, we have pharmacists in the hospital as specialists in oncology, in cardiovascular diseases, in respiratories, and they are authorities and respected. Perhaps, maybe the area many of us are familiar with is the area of dispensing and the logistics and supply chain aspect of it. But I strongly believe that the importance of hospital pharmacy cannot be overstated. There are a lot of opportunities in various countries, in the various countries represented here in this meeting. I mean, as barely 4 years ago, at least from the data I have, Uganda has only 31 pharmacists employed in the public sector. And I mean, the shortage is so pervasive that even services where medication counseling is invaluable, like antiretroviral therapy, for instance, are undertaken by non-pharmacists in 99% of facilities. This is data as recent as 4 years ago. So if we're talking the evolving role of pharmacists in the modern healthcare delivery, hospital pharmacy would always remain key. And I strongly believe so. Right. So the second area for me, just give me a second. The second area for me will be regulatory, which I'll break into 3 parts, right? So there's the regulation of the practice or profession. Now, this is the area of practice where we have our colleagues who are well versed in the laws of the land and the ethics of the profession. So in Ghana, for instance, we have Pharmacy Council of Ghana, there's Pharmacy Council of Uganda, Pharmacy Council of Kenya, PCN, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. It is what they do. They are mandated to ensuring that the pharmacists and pharmacies comply with the laws of the country. Now, there's the second bit, which has to do with the regulation of food, drugs, and medical devices in the country. So you probably would know that for every drug, food, cosmetics, and medical devices imported and commercialized in the country, they need to conform to a certain standard. And these are standards that are continuously monitored for their safety and efficacy. In Nigeria, we have NAFDAC. In Ghana, we have FDA. It's the same in South Africa, in Tanzania, in Kenya, and Uganda. And I'm sure we all know what NAFDAC does, ensuring that all the food, drug devices are properly monitored and their safety and efficacy guaranteed. So talking about regulatory, 3 parts, like I mentioned: regulation of practice, profession, then there's the regulation of food, drugs, cosmetic, and medical devices. And there is a third rapidly evolving area of regulatory, and I think it's an area that might interest you. You find this in industry, right? So for every company, be it Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Novartis, Pfizer, name them, if they are looking to either manufacture or import any product into a country to commercialize it. Now, remember, I mentioned that the existing regulations and standards as prescribed by those regulatory agencies. So these companies keep a regulatory team who are mandated to continuously liaise with the regulatory agencies to ensure their products are in good standing and they conform to all the regulatory standards set. Now, the regulatory teams are responsible for all communications between the company and the regulatory bodies. So every communication around therapy area, around products, this team are seen as the gatekeepers, and they are very highly respected. It's still an evolving area. 15 years ago, I knew of only 2 regulatory managers across West Africa who worked for 2 different companies. Today, I know at least 100 people in West Africa alone who are pursuing this very highly coveted specialty. Now, there are a lot of other things to do, but for the sake of time, I may come back to this. I just may come back to these. Industrial manufacturing. Now, this remains for me one of the biggest areas for attention, and I'll tell you why. So the African continent has over 1.2 billion people. We're the second most populated continent in the world. However, 70% of our medicines are imported. There are countries in Africa, Google it, research, some of the countries present in this team, in this cohort, 100% of your medicines are actually imported into your countries. Now, the reasons are numerous and varied. Lack of access to capital. We don't produce our own APIs. I've spoken to investors who would rather invest in treasury bills than expand their current production facility. Now, we won't go into that. But the point I really want to make here or emphasize is that for the mere fact that 70% of our total import needs in Africa for medication, 70% of our medication needs are imported, it's always going to be an opportunity that won't run dry. It won't run dry. And I believe it's an incredible opportunity for young pharmacists to begin to engage. Find internships in this sector. Understand the details. Get into close proximity with people who have the know-how and work in this space. For those of you who are aspiring to make it in this sector, the opportunities are limitless and they are huge. Again, there's a lot I can say about this sector, but let's keep on managing time. I just may come back to these if time allows. Now, there's also the research and discovery, and as expert in drugs, your skills come in high demand here. Now, there's a difference between drug discovery and development and formulation development. So innovative, new, and effective medications are produced through drug discovery and development, okay? And formulation development essentially means you're identifying the most widely accepted form of bioavailability. So let me break it down. If you take a medication like paracetamol, for instance, so the drug discovery and development is a process that originated the molecule, paracetamol. But then getting it into tablet injection or suppository becomes the expertise of the formulation development scientists. And maybe a couple of you may be thinking, this is so far away from us. This is Africa. This is Africa. But you see, we spoke about local manufacturing earlier on. As the local manufacturing begins to expand, all these areas also begin to expand. A lot more opportunities begin to appear, and this includes quality assurance, pharmacovigilance, and many other opportunities as well that I may still have time to go into details on, just in case time allows us. And I have always maintained, guys, we do not need experts for these roles as we grow. And I personally believe it's important to begin to learn, understand what it takes to enter into these sectors, to thrive in this sector, speak to mentors, look for internships, look for fellowships, any opportunity to get yourself in close proximity to these areas, right? Get some exposure, understand what is happening. And this will be critical to your growth. Medical affairs. Now, if you've done any bit of research, or you've even spoken to any colleague pharmacist who is a medical representative, chances are that you have heard of medical affairs. And I really needed to draw on this point because it's a huge functional area of industrial pharmacy that is still expanding. Now, the overall goal of medical affairs is to disseminate scientific information in a fair and balanced way. Now, the goal is to ensure that all scientific information packed in the various documents, the investigators' brochures, the protocols of the drug in information leaflets, they are communicated to doctors, key opinion leaders in a fair and balanced way. You will spend some good time reviewing various clinical trials of the product of your company, the various available data. And in many companies, you may actually be part of a team involved in training other medical sales representatives. Generally, medical affairs is considered a very prestigious functional area to be in. A B Pharm will get you a good role in medical affairs in a company. A PharmD could even give you greater opportunity. Many companies have traditionally preferred to employ medical doctors in this role, but of late, a lot more companies are actually realizing that pharmacists excel and have what it takes to really be great in this role. In my own company in Nigeria, we have two people for medical affairs, and they are both pharmacists. And I was very insistent to my organization that, see, I absolutely don't want doctors in this role. We have pharmacists who are capable. I'm motivated for that. And I know a lot of other companies as well are actually employing pharmacists in this role. It's a growing area, so you may want to read about it, and you may want to consider that. Community practice. Now, I know this is a virtual meeting, but I can hear some of you shouting already. They don't pay, they don't pay, they don't pay, the owners don't pay us. They don't pay, they don't pay. But they will pay you if you own the pharmacy. So own the pharmacy. Now, I think this is an area that has been the public face of the profession for many years. And slowly, steadily in most communities, it has become the first and probably the most important point of call for a lot of patients. It will remain with us for a very long time. It will remain with us for a very long time. See, when you get into the retail space for internship, go and learn. What I see is many young pharmacists go in there and it's all about the money. Money is good. I love money as well. I started my career in a retail pharmacy. I learned as much as I can. My spouse is a retail pharmacist. We both learned. She was a clinical pharmacist in a very respectable teaching hospital in Ghana. And after a while, she decided her real passion was in community. And today she's succeeding very well in community. So if you're talking about community not paying you, I dare you to own the community pharmacy, right? But learn what it takes to manage it effectively. It will pay you. It will pay you so well, right? And you will find it very fulfilling. Those who have mastered it know it works. They make it big, and they become very impactful citizens wherever they are. Ernest Chemist, arguably one of the largest pharma importers in Ghana and in West Africa, started as a single, I say 2x4, square-shaped retail store in Accra. Today, if you're any company in Europe, in America looking to enter into Ghana, your best guess is to look for Ernest Chemist. They hold the key to give you access into Ghana, and that is how you can grow. If you take retail pharmacy, see, I mean, the UK government recently allocated close to £645 million to support community pharmacies so that they can provide additional services. to community. In Canada, in Australia, there's the prescribing pharmacist concept. And this will come into Africa. And I know even in some areas of Nigeria, there's a prescribing pharmacist concept. In Port Harcourt, I know there are pharmacists who actually do prescribe. So keep it open. We call them very traditional areas, but guys, the opportunities are there. And they are limitless still. Now, for many of you who won't find traditional pharmacy enticing enough, you can still find the pharmacy-related postgraduate course, which is in high demand, right? Pharmacogenomics, health economics, health informatics. Now, for pharmacogenomics, it's an emerging area of practice, right? And it involves the study of how our genes affect how our body responds to medications. Now, depending on your genetic makeup, some drugs would either work better for you or work worse for you. The side effects may be tolerable or too pronounced. The goal of pharmacogenomics typically is to be able to determine the right drug for the right patient and at the right dose. It's a growing area. Health informatics. Now, for those of you who are very interested in tech, right? This is still not a very much talked about area, but I think it's a very good career option. In health informatics, you study all the various ways that you leverage IT to drive better clinical care. We can't run away from digital. We can't run away from technology. And it's come to stay. So the aspect of medicine, of healthcare delivery, that looks at how do we leverage all the various technological systems around us to drive better healthcare. It's growing, and it's incredibly high demand. Health economics. Now, this finds application in health insurance, in market access. Every company has market access manager today, right? People working as health data analysts, people working as health policy analysts, people working for government in the various policy-making departments of government, policy advisors. It's a broad range of opportunities, and yes, I see a lot of medical doctors in this area as well. But I think as the expert in medications, as the custodian of all the knowledge around medicines, I'm seeing a lot of pharmacists go into this area, right? And I think it's a growing area. We need a lot more pharmacists in government, in policy shaping department. And I believe this is one of the areas that would promise, especially in the years to come. Pharma management, marketing economics, maybe I won't go too much into these. Academia, of course, involves education and research, producing other professionals. Again, I heard people say, but our lecturers are never rich. They don't have money. People say it's only prestigious to be an academic. But I beg to differ. I think yes, it is prestigious. It is noble as well. You can do very well and you can make money as well. I know academics who have successfully commercialized their academic expertise through consulting on the side for industry, looking and winning grants, commercializing specific inventions and more, while impacting and mentoring the whole time. So those of you who have passion to teach, to groom, please keep that passion viable. So how are we doing with time? It's 12:35. So, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this discussion till now has been to get you a bit more exposure, right? And a couple of points to reflect on. I am optimistic that you have taken notes. Go out there, find out more, read more, ask questions, speak to lecturers, speak to people in industry, connect with some relevant people on LinkedIn. The world really awaits you, and there's a lot more opportunity and a lot more opportunities within pharma. Now, that brings me to a second but equally critical part of this discussion, right? Beyond all we have discussed, there are critical skills, behavioral habits. You could call it the know-how to successfully managing or navigating away from school into the job market, excelling, growing, living a happy, successful life or impact, and becoming the leader you want to be. And you want to be a leader. Are you ready? Are you ready, team? Anybody on the line? Show
Yes,
me
sir.
some act. Perfect. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Never ignore industry trends, right? So I delivered a talk about 2 weeks ago, and Famtaibu was like, I can't have this discussion without touching on some of this points. Never ignore industry trends. So back in the university some 20 years ago for me, it was very traditional pharmacy practice, hospital, community. Today we have so many different areas and still evolving. I didn't talk about nuclear pharmacy. I didn't talk about critical care pharmacy. I didn't talk about ambulatory care pharmacy. But these are all growing areas of pharmacy. Today, pharmacists are leveraging artificial intelligence, immersive technologies to enhance patient engagement, improve their workflow, simplify their communication. Now, that is in pharmacy. In IT, some 20 years back, it was all about mainframe. And the skills that were in vogue were all the skills related to mainframe computing, right? Now, a few years down the line, we have Java. Java became a trend. Web development became a trend. I was telling the previous meeting I had that I actually developed a few websites myself together with a couple of pharmacy-related pharmacy friends as well. Then some years down the line, we had ERP, SAP, SAP, Oracle. These all became trends. There are always two trends you should never ignore. There's a trend in your industry, and then there's the IT trend. At different times, there are always going to be different trends going on. If you are not aware, you are in trouble. Team, if you're not aware, you're in trouble. You always need to be aware. In today's world, the tech trend is AI, machine learning, blockchain, 5G, robotic process automation, quantum computing, Internet of Things, 3D, predictive analytics, and many more. You need to be aware. You need to be aware. How do you find out? Read. Stop spending 5 hours a day on social media. That's your smartphone. There's an app on Samsung, on iPhone called Podcast. Download it. Subscribe to certain key areas: IT, leadership, pharmacy practice, healthcare. They deliver small bits of information almost every day. It's a way to stay current. It's a way to stay current, right? You can never ignore industry trend if you want to remain relevant. And I really implore you to take that seriously. Develop a T-shaped skill set. Now, this essentially means having a wide range of skills, knowing a lot about different stuff, have a lot of knowledge about different areas, but at the same time, have 1 or 2 areas where you have in-depth understanding of what is important. If you're a medical sales representative, for instance, we know that you need product knowledge. We know that you need disease area knowledge. We know that you need a good knowledge of the territory that you're working in. Relationship building skills, you need to have it. But at the same time, you may want to develop specialized knowledge in key account management, for instance, in marketing, in clinical research. It is really about skills today. It's really about skills. Now, once you get onto the job market, It is no longer about how many years you have worked. It's about your skill set. It's about your skill set. Yes, we have 30-year-old heading big multinational firms as pharmacists, right? The biggest misconception people have has been that they're entitled to be promoted after a couple of years and experience. So they say, I'm a medical sales representative. I've been here for 3-4 years. I should be promoted as a manager. It is a fallacy. Your skills will pay your bills, right? So as you get matured into the work environment, it's important for you to develop what we call a T-shaped skill set. Do not ignore personal branding. Now, whatever you do at your work, day by day, create a brand of you. And when I say brand, image a perception in the mind of people about you, a certain positive perception. Every success you have adds to your brand. Every failure you have adds to your brand. You have a brand, believe it or not. Do you know your brand? It's either positive, negative, or neutral. Everyone has a brand. Dare to know your brand. The way you talk, how you write your emails, how you respond to queries, how you dress, all contributes to the brand of you. And brands are not built in 2-3 months. They are built over years, right? Set very high standard for yourself. I tell people there's no Nigeria standard. There's no Uganda standard. There's no Uganda standard or Ghana standard. There's only one global standard, right? Do not be trapped. Refuse to be trapped under the tyranny of ordinary. I say again, build antibodies around yourself to combat against any form of average, especially in your professional life, but also in your private life. Never ignore your personal branding. Pay attention to it. Yes, let's run along. Be great at articulating your story. This is important, especially when you're getting into the job market. Now, sadly, in my experience, very few professionals do this, right? I've seen lots of young professionals who in interviews, you ask them, what has been your biggest achievement over the past 2-3 years in your previous position? And they're beating about the bush. And there are some of them that I know personally, and I'm almost sad for them sitting on the panel because I'm thinking, I could almost tell your story better than you, right? So see, it doesn't only start when you're out of school and entering into the job market. Even now in school, begin to document your achievements, begin to document your progress. You've been granted access into this cohort, into this program. It is an achievement. Document it. You will need to talk about it 3, 4, 5 years from now. Do not forget the experience you have in now, because it's not an experience coming to many people. And the fact that you are here alone means that there's something you're doing very right, and a certain future employer needs to hear about it. Great. And once you begin to get into the internship programs, I know some of you may be going into industry a year, 2 years from now, you're seeking for internship. Begin to think like your boss. Think like your boss. Don't think like your co-workers and your peers. Chances are that they have certain bad habits that you may also be imbibing. Their ambitions may even be different from yours in the first place, right? Your bosses usually would drop ideas. Some of them may seem silly. They are visionaries. They pick every idea from every different angle and drop it on the table for you. Your own. You have to pick those ideas, understand it, be a problem solver. They drop the ideas like bombs. Your job is to defuse the bombs, solve the issues, solve the problem, provide solutions. And once you begin to think like this, you enter into the industry year 1, in year 2, year 3, year 4. You're already growing. I have had a couple of interns, young pharmacists, work with me. There have been interns who come after 3 weeks and begging, can this internship be ending already? At the same time, I have interns who have worked with me. They're going and I'm thinking, this is too soon. Are they going now? Some of them are in second year, third year. I'm calling them, hello, are you not having any internship again this year? I want them back because they are problem solvers, right? I see a couple of comments. I can't see the comments. I guess I'll read them later. But I think these are things that you really should pay attention to. Have a lot of mentors. If there's anything I can look back in my life and say, Maurice, you understood the essence of these maybe a bit too late. Yet mentorship. I started really paying attention to mentorship about 4 or 5 years ago. And that was really when my life started transforming. I have worked with a lot of young pharmacists. I see the brilliance cannot be ignored. But I think what young professionals need today is just about guidance. You have the benefit of having so many people who have made the mistakes that you may be making today. Why make those mistakes again? When there are people who have blazed that trail, failed, and they are there to offer you real guidance, right? And I am very passionate about mentorship. I'm happy to know that a big part of this program is mentorship as well. Take it seriously. See, when you're a good mentee, you see, I am a mentor. I mentor quite a couple of young professionals. And there are some of them that I've invested so much time into their life that I can't bear to watch them fail. I don't know if anybody get what I'm saying. I can't have, because to see them failing today is me seeing all the years, all the times, all the sessions I've spent with them go to waste. So mentors begin to be very passionately involved with mentees, especially when mentees are serious. They will find job opportunities for you, even not with their firms, with other firms. Some of them will put their monies, their resources behind you, but the only prerequisite is that you need to be serious. Because again, if you have a good mentor, chances are that your mentors don't have time. They do not have time. So every 30 minutes they spend with you are critical. But see, mentorship. I mean, many of us heard about mentorship when we were young, but we never really took it serious. It's one of the things that I know today that I wished I knew and took seriously 6, 7 years ago. Yes, so Charles Forger is one of my mentors. He's a former country manager for Roche Nigeria. He later became the head of Africa strategy for Roche. He's currently the CEO and founder of Pharma Symbiosis. Those of you in Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Pharma Symbiosis is a very big brand. He's the CEO of Pharma Symbiosis. I have sessions with him, a minimum 30 minutes every month. I run all my ideas through him, and he supports and guides me a lot. Samer is risen in the pharma industry across various ranks. He's currently the president. So he's the president of what we call the GCC cluster. He is the head of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, as well as Pakistan. So I have various mentors, and I have a mentor in my own company. So he's the mentor I have in my own company. Sometimes it's good to have mentors like these as well, because when decisions are being taken about you in your company, a lot of times you are not on that table to influence the decision, right? So you need people who talk for you, in certain gatherings. Johnny Alote. Johnny worked with several companies, including Pfizer, Novo Nordisk. His last international assignment, he was in charge of Africa, the Mediterranean and the Middle East for a company called Integrated Labs. He returned home 2 years ago, and he took up the role of the Vice President, Global Diagnostics for Pharma. In a previous meeting I had, I called Johnny. Johnny, I've been told to speak to young pharmacists about how to develop their career. What should I tell them? Lamori, talk about mentorship. Take a screenshot of this discussion we are having and let them see that you are not just talking theory, that mentorship is important and you actually do it. So these are the giants on whose shoulders I stand tall. And I pass it on. If you're in Ghana and you're in the pharma industry, you probably may know of Charles. Charles Ano. Yes, he's somebody I've been grooming for the past 5-6 years. Today, he's the National Key Account Manager for AstraZeneca in Ghana. There's a gentleman down there to the left, Henry. I mean, I could say I proudly recruited Henry into the pharma industry some 6 years ago. Today, he is the Market Access Manager for Roche in Ghana, an extremely brilliant, sharp guy. Look for him. Look for him. He can be a good mentor for you. Raymond. Raymond is a country lead for Etefam Ghana. Raymond is somebody who I actively mentored for a period of close to 2.5 to 3 years as well. He still calls me. Once every 2-3 months, he calls me, he runs his issues and ideas by me, and he's doing very, very, very well in Ghana. I'm aware his company have been sending him to Cameroon, Senegal. Essentially, he's covering not just Ghana, but a couple of African countries as well. Beatrice is the sales manager for Sanofi Ghana, also a mentee of mine. Dr. Peggy Apia works with Nestle Ghana, is a mentee of mine. Down here, Joseph is a sales manager with Novartis. See, I'm sharing this with you for you to understand the essence of mentorship. So we don't just talk it. It's that important. I have my mentees, so I go to my mentors. I get fed by you can only give what you have, right? You can only give what you have. So I go to my mentors. I go and steal all the information. And then I find my mentees and I pass it on to them. And that is how we grow generational leaders, right? And this is an interesting one. So Ernest, these are two mentees I worked with at. They were with me around the same time, and I didn't know something serious was happening with them. 2.5 years down the line, they sent me an invitation to be the chairman at their wedding. So sometimes when you deal with young people, you just want to keep your eyes opened. Yeah, but both of them are two very brilliant pharmacists, right? And I am very, very proud of them. So those are examples of the mentees I have back in Ghana. These are mentees I have here in Nigeria. Stephen, a very highly promising young pharmacist in Abuja, Nigeria. Abbas is currently the National Key Account Manager for AstraZeneca in Nigeria. I'm telling Abbas, I am your boss. Get a mentee out of AstraZeneca. You work with me every day already. You're learning, like, no, boss, I know, but I still want you to be my mentor. Very proud of Valentina. I met Valentina 3 years ago. When I came into Nigeria 3 years ago, she worked in a community pharmacy. She felt she needed to be challenged. She then joined Pharma Symbiosis as a medical sales representative. And today she's one of my most shiny examples of progress. The progress of a mentee in Nigeria. She manages the entire responsibilities of a company in Nigeria today. And I am very proud of her. For the past 2 years, we have 1 hour session almost every month. And you see, and that's the point I'm making. When you have mentees who are diligent, who make time, who are serious, you get so invested. You spend so much time with them. You can't also watch and for your time spent with them to go waste. So you actually push for them. Everybody you see in this image is a mentee of mine. I have so many mentees currently in in Nigeria that I put them in groups. So I don't have the capacity to talk to everybody one-on-one. So sometimes I put them in a group. We have dinner, and they all share their issues. We talk, very transparent, we open, and the whole essence is to provide guidance and see people grow. This same cohort, I'm meeting them later today at 5 p.m. We're having dinner, and it's something we do We do every quarter. We get into the end of this present, but this is a book I would want to recommend for everybody to read. This is a book I read some years. It totally transformed my life. It's by Robin Sharma, The 5 a.m. Club. Own Your Mornings, Elevate Your Life. Read it, read it. I'm sure you'll come back to thank me later, right? Yes, have a structure and order to your life. The time you sleep every day should be routinized. Don't spend too much time on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, 11 p.m. There's nothing should be keeping you awake at 11 p.m. Team. At 10:30, you should be sleeping. If you sleep at 10 p.m., you'll be able to wake up at 5 a.m. Have a routine to your life. Exercise, read every day, spend a minimum of 40. I do 1 hour reading every day. But at a very minimum, spend some 30 minutes every day reading, right? How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So excel in every area of your life. In terms of social, accept few invitations. You don't have to be at every party. You do not have to be at every party. Accept fewer invitations. Socially, have few friends, but drink deep, right? Into the relationships of the few that you call friends. Have few friends, but for the few who you call friends, be very deep with them. Support them. Be sure that they really can call you a friend, right? These are all things I try to practice myself. The future of work, and we are wrapping up. So the future of work, it's an informed perspective on what businesses and organizations need to know about how the work environment is changing, and then also how they should prepare for those changes. And in the future of work, the most high value work will be more cognitive in nature, right? Employees will need to understand technology, understand the application of digital literacy, employ critical thinking, self-management, interpersonal skills in solving complex problems. And my question to you is, are you ready? I mean, obviously we can't go too deeply into these, but my expectation is that you're taking notes, you read further. Many of you will go into various sessions with your mentors, query them on these. What do you really need to know about the digital literacy, self-management, interpersonal skills, leadership, technology? This is really the future of work, 2022 and beyond. And now, give or take, a number of you may be doing internships or getting ready for the job market by 2025, right? So the World Economic Forum recently published their prediction of the top 10 skills workers and organizations we need in 2025, right? And I'm sure 2025 is when many of you would either be out of school or doing your internships. It may not be what you expect, but I expect you to Google this and read about this analytical thinking, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking. Please Google this. We won't spend too much time on these because of time, but they are critical. They are skills you need to learn and know as you enter into the job market. I say you were born into an opportunity and a responsibility to be legendary in your life, in your career, in your society. If you are here today, you're already a standout performer because many were called, but few have been chosen, and you are one of the chosen few. You are a chosen future leader, and you cannot be frozen in average. Every one of you holding your fortunes, you hold in your hands today your fortunes. And I say, like a sculptor, like an artist, you hold the raw materials of your life in your hands. What are you molding your life into? And the skills to do the molding of your life is what you are learning today, and it's what you are learning in this program as it continues. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. My name is Maurice Nyarko. The most reliable way to engage or contact me is on LinkedIn. Search for me on LinkedIn. I will do my best to attend to you and respond to your queries. Thank you once again. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Over to you, organizers.
Wow, wow, wow. See all of you typing in the chat section with your fire emojis. That's how I felt more than 2 weeks ago when I first listened to Nyarko. I was like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Where has he been all my life? Why am I just listening to him now?
Taiwo, you are far too kind. Thank you. Thank you.
I made a mental note that he was going to speak to the next cohort of Pharma Incubation Hub Fellows. And I'm so elated to see that he came and he over-delivered. See, all of you, he's bursting your brains, right? Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. You see, capacity 100%, this is fire. But as much as we are so excited by all that we have learned, this is a call to action. It's not enough to feel so excited that you have learned a lot of things that has changed your perspective in the last few minutes. What's critically important is to go beyond the notes that you have taken and begin to draft an action plan to say, this is one thing I'm going to commit myself to doing in the next few months, in the next few years. These are 3 things I'm going to implement based on all that I have learned so far. So that's my charge to all of you. Don't just feel excited, but take a step further to act. We'll have a time for Q&A very soon. So please pin down your questions. And I'm sure that Nyarko will be very, very, very happy to respond to your burning questions. All right, thank you. Layo, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much once again, Maurice. Thank you so much. So before the Q&A, we'll be having our second speaker, Miss Michele. So before we go ahead, I would like to read our bio, and then we can give her the floor to also glean from our wealth of experience and our wealth of knowledge as well. Miss Mayuba Michele Rachel is a young Bachelor of Pharmacy graduate from Kenya. She's passionate about servant leadership and science and uses it to create impact in the community. Ms. Mayuba Michele Rachel serves as the current chairperson of the International Pharmaceutical Student Federation African Regional Office, which is popularly called IPSF-AfRO. Her main role involves coordinating the regional activities to advance pharmacy and pharmacy practice and public health together with the regional working group. She previously served as the secretary in the regional office and has also served as the contact person of our local association in Kenya. A journey in leadership and community service began with volunteering in various youth-led organizations while in her second year of studies. Wow. She initially hoped to grow her interpersonal skills through these organizations, but she also developed her communication skills, teamwork, problem solving, and critical thinking skills. These have been critical in her leadership. One of the guiding principles that have helped her reach this far is challenging herself and learning from previous mistakes and failures. She believes they are very important to grow in leadership and in her career. In Kenya, she's involved in various non-traditional areas of pharmacy practice, surgery and physiology, and is growing a research. Every time, Mayuba loves reading novels, swimming, or learning about animals. With the clap emoji, can we welcome Miss Mayuba Michele, chairperson of IPSF-AfRO. You have the floor.
Hi, thank you so much for the warm welcoming. I'd just like to, maybe before getting into it, I'd just like to say thank you so much to the previous speaker, Maurice, for his very insightful presentation. I came in just to speak, but I really want to turn into a cohort member just to get more insights from Pharma Incubation Hub. So thank you so much, Maurice, for this. And I think I've learned quite a lot more than I expected to do today, and that's just such a blessing. So thank you so much, and thank you, Pharma Incubation Hub, for this. Yeah. So I think my bio has briefly summarized on who I am and what I do. And when I was invited, I was mostly coming to share my perspective, just as a young pharmacist getting into the career, also part of leadership initiatives and all of that, especially because the Pharma Incubation Hub aims to mold pharmacists into becoming the next global leaders, the best pharmacists that we'll be having, so that they can create a lot of more change within Africa and within the world. Yeah, so my presentation will briefly touch on IPSF. I see there's quite a lot of our active members within the call, so I'll just briefly explain about the International Pharmaceutical Students Federation, what we do. I'll touch on a few opportunities that you can tap into as members within your different countries and within Nigeria. And then I'll also briefly dive into my leadership journey, how I started, how it's been progressing, and yeah, how it is so far. So I'll just share my screen shortly, and yeah, I'll welcome any questions or comments that will come afterwards. Give me a minute. Sorry, I'm having a brief technical issue.
Hello, Michelle. Okay, please proceed.
Okay, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so okay, I'll dive right into it. So as introduced earlier, I'm Miss Michele Mayuba Rachel, but considering I'm now a graduate, so I'm pharmacist Michele Mayuba. I currently practice within Kenya, and within my free time, I volunteer at the International Pharmaceutical Students Federation, which has really grown me a lot. One of our greatest slogan, I think, that we could take from today is pharmacists today, students today, and pharmacists tomorrow. As much as we are currently students and we are learning and we see ourselves as the young people, but tomorrow or next year or within the next few years will be the pharmacists and will be the ones in the industry, will be the ones heading research laboratories and all of that. So we have to kind of change our way of thinking, have a paradigm shift in our thinking, in our mindset, and look at the future. How do I want to be 5 years to come, 10 years to come, and all of that? So what is IPSF? It's the current leading international advocacy organization for pharmacy students and pharmaceutical science students and recent graduates up to 4 years after your graduation. And one of our major focuses is public health because, as pharmacists, I think mostly what I've noticed from Kenya, but I think it cuts across Africa. Pharmacists are the primary healthcare workers because if I have a headache, if I'm feeling sick, if anything is going on wrong, my first stop won't be the clinic. I'll first go to the pharmacy, and then after that, I'll go to the clinic. So we are a critical set of people within the primary healthcare space, and we is public health, and we try and improve that through different information, creating educational platforms, enabling people to network, pharmacists to network within different circles to grow, to gain their health. And we also have a range of publications and professional initiatives to kind of ensure that you grow yourself within that field of public health. So where did we start? Actually, we are the oldest student organization around. We were formed way back in 1949 by 8 countries in London, which saw it fit that pharmacists should come together and try and advocate for better practices across the world. So over the years, we have gained more momentum. We currently have more than 500,000 members across the world, and we are in over 100 countries across the world. In Africa particularly, we are in 25 countries, but 26 member organizations, and PANS Nigeria is one of our active members within the federation. So how we have gotten here is that we are purely non-governmental, non-political, non-religious, and we just exist to ensure that we advocate for the advancement of pharmacy practice and pharmaceutical science. We ensure that the pharmacists that get into the market have the sufficient skills and knowledge to match up to the 21st century demands on how best a pharmacist should practice. Yes. So, as I've mentioned, our mission is mostly to improve public health by advancing pharmacy practice and pharmaceutical sciences. And we address different global challenges. We provide health education. We advocate for workforce strategy that is ensuring that pharmacists are involved in different parts of healthcare. And we also generally serve as the global collective voice of students and recent graduates within the pharmacy field and the pharmaceutical science field. So we have a structure that governs us. I won't really touch more on this because it might take time. But then maybe one thing that I can mention is that we have the global office that oversees the more than 100 countries that we're currently part of. And we have the different regional offices, such as the African Regional Office, Asian Pacific Regional Office, Eastern Mediterranean Regional Office, European Regional Office, and Pan American Regional Office. So all of these offices are established just to ensure that the initiatives that we have as pharmacists and pharmacy students are kind of tailored to our continental demands. But then the global office is also there to give us a global perspective on how best we should improve our skills as pharmacists to match up to the current demands of what a pharmacist should be. This is just our secretariat. Our headquarters is in Netherlands at The Hague. And these are our regional offices, I've mentioned. For the African Regional Office, this is the team that is working on the background, providing all the information you need, creating opportunities in terms of internships, creating projects or organizing projects so that you can be able to build your professional development skills and all of that related skills within the profession. So, of course, since we are a global organization, we cannot really be physically present in each country, but we have different events or activities that happen yearly that enable us to meet and discuss how the pharmacy practice is progressing throughout the years. And this year we were actually in Ghana, Accra, Ghana. We were having our annual symposium, African Regional Pharmaceutical Symposium there. And there are a lot of amazing discussions and insights. Maybe the pharmacy students who managed to attend could share their perspectives and what they learned from the session. But then it was, the discussions were focused on innovation and pharmacists and how best we should equip ourselves in terms of academia, in terms of skills, and in terms of knowledge that we should acquire so that we can match up to the current innovations that are happening within the pharmacy field. So this is just to show that as pharmacy students within your different countries, you're already members of IPSF. So I'd just like to urge you to tap into the different opportunities that we have for pharmacy students, so that, and even up to recent graduates, so that you can continue building your skills, improving yourselves, and matching up to the current demands in the market. These are just a brief of some of our partners. You'll get to interact with them more within with time. And now into can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So on to I think one of the critical parts that I was supposed to speak on, what opportunities are available for you as pharmacy students and recent graduates to improve your skills and knowledge within the profession, and also to just gain that exposure that you need and understanding about the profession. So what we mostly provide for us, or the opportunities that are available for you, are divided into these 5 fields. There's the pharmacy education arm, which focuses on different areas such as research. There's the professional development arm that tends to improve your skills in terms of critical thinking or problem solving in areas around clinical areas, patient safety, industrial skills, compounding, and even the pharmacy profession. There's the public health arm if you're interested in let's say immunizations, vaccinations, advocacy about public health within the pharmacy space. That's an opportunity for you to tap into. We also have the student exchange program that enables you to go to different countries so that you can experience how is pharmacy practice there. You can maybe borrow some best practices within those areas and come and implement it in your country. So this particular program, the student exchange program, gives you that opportunity. Then finally, we have the policy and advocacy team. If you love, maybe I'll connect you to the previous presentation, the regulatory bits, drafting the foundation of different changes, looking at how is the world in 5 years to come, how can we get there? Because policy is basically the foundation of the changes that we bring into our countries or into the profession. So that specifically is there to help you to kind of know how are policy statements done, how are they prepared, what are the steps taken to kind of implement these policies and all of that. I'll touch on to them briefly so that you could at least be aware of the opportunities available for you as pharmacists, as members in IPSF. So in terms of pharmacy education, these are the main areas. We have educational webinars to kind of give us an insight on what are the current trends in pharmacy, what should we look at, how should I improve my skills, if it's in terms of information and technology, what should I know about that, in the industry, what are the current trends and all of that. So the pharmacy education arm is there for that purpose. And additionally, I just also, one particular area I normally stress in pharmacy education is research. I know for those of us who have been a lot in public health, you hear that in Africa we have to do more, do more, but there's no data to show us on how we should make data-driven decisions within the practice. So the research arm of pharmacy education gives us an opportunity to know what are the current research trends within the pharmacy practice, what should I look at, if maybe I'm planning to organize an event, what is the current data available for me to know how best to put in my interventions. If it's terms of clinical research, you'll be able to read more on papers of how different things are done in different countries and all of that. Unfortunately, we haven't been very active in terms of research in pharmacy education within Africa, but I'm hoping that will change soon, especially because I've been meeting a lot of research enthusiasts within the continent. So the research field is one of the areas I'll stress in terms of pharmacy education, and this opportunity is very available to us. We normally have the Young Researchers Forum, which also gives you an opportunity to share your research data, your research papers, and you can even collaborate with a different researcher from a different continent and have a joint research paper to kind of show different areas of the practice or to show your investigations on different things. So on professional development, as I've mentioned, we have workshops, we have webinars, and we have different competitions to kind of ensure that we're up to date with the current skills that are required within the pharmacy practice, kind of growing you to be a global pharmacist, if that makes sense. So these are some of the areas we do within the pharmacy, within the professional development area. So if in case you're interested in industry skills event, you can sign up into the different workshops we have so that you can at least understand on how things are going, improving your problem-solving skills, knowing how exactly the industry area works. There's also the compounding event, which we have workshops and webinars. There's the clinical skills event where we have a lot of competitions, different continents against each other, just to ensure that are we matching up with the knowledge that is being shared in the other countries, comparing the education that we are being taught in Africa versus maybe Asian Pacific region. Are we being taught the same things? What can I improve on? And all of that. There's also the patient counseling events and workshops, and also the pharmacy profession awareness campaigns. Yeah, so in terms of leadership, we also understand that pharmacists by default, just as long as you have done the course, I think all of us normally do the leadership and ethics unit in university. I don't know if that's the same in Nigeria, but in Kenya we have the leadership course and we also have ethics and laws. So by default, as a pharmacist, by the time you're graduating, or even if you get into a job, you tend to be a leader in a team, either a team leader, a leader in the organization, or something like that. I think the previous speaker has spoken about it in terms of the community pharmacy. Don't be an employee there, on the pharmacy itself. So by default, pharmacists, there's this expectation of us to be leaders or to have the leadership experience or the skills to lead a team and not mostly be the follower, if I'm to say. So we appreciate that, and we offer also different workshops to help us gain the skills, different skills in leadership for personal development, team management, communication skills, problem solving, design thinking, and all of that. So we kind of offer those short workshops or training so that you could be able to gain experience in them, and by the time you're getting into a team and all of that, you have the skill sets required of you to lead a team. And then public health, as I've mentioned, we also do quite a lot of public health. This is just a summary of what we do, and you can get involved in it if you're interested in tobacco advocacy and all of that. You can tap into our campaign and chip in your ideas on how best we could advocate for different public health matters within the continent. The student exchange program, this is also a very good opportunity for you to get involved in. We, as I've mentioned, we are in over 100 countries within the world, and more than 80 of them offer different exchange programs to us. So if in case you are in Nigeria and you heard about the amazing cancer research program happening in Egypt, you can easily liaise with the student exchange officer and you can go to Egypt, have that experiential learning on how is everything going on there in terms of drug design, in terms of investigations on how cancer develops and all of that. That's a good opportunity for you to tap into that. Or if in case you're really interested in pharmacogenomics in Morocco or even the United States of America, this particular program gives you that opportunity to have that experiential learning even as a student, so that you don't have to, okay, yes, the internships are very important and you have to go through it. In, maybe we could say in Kenya, for us, you have to do your internship within Kenya. But then if you'd like to also get some experiential learning in a different country, you want to know what are the best practices in these places, so that I can set up my own laboratory in Nigeria or in Liberia or any other country. This particular program gives you that, I don't say excuse, but it gives you an opportunity to tap into that field and to get that experience without even, without much effort, if I may say. So this is one other opportunity that pharmacy students or recent graduates can use just to get an experiential learning. Then on to the final part, there's the policy and advocacy area that we're also a bit big on. When it comes to policy and advocacy, we kind of try and we're mostly the voice of the pharmacists or the pharmacy students in terms of saying what is our role in this particular public health issue. What do we want to change within the pharmacy practice? What do we want to change within the curriculum? One of our major achievements is working closely with the WHO, where even WHO Africa, recently they had their reception meeting or the regional committee meeting in Botswana, and some of our representatives were there, and they spoke about how best we feel pharmacists can get into the non-communicable disease field, and their role in trying to reduce the rates or the numbers of the people getting the non-communicable diseases. If it's maybe what can I say? Maybe what is the current healthcare issue in terms of pandemic preparedness? Okay, I'm not so sure how many of us have read, but then in countries in the global north, you'd find that pharmacists were the ones giving the vaccines. They were in charge of immunizations. They were kind of driving those particular field in terms of pandemic preparedness and ensuring that people are protected. But then in Africa, you'd find that pharmacists or pharmacy students are not even equipped to know that they should be the ones actually leading some of the immunization programs and all of that. So one of our major policy statements or things that we are advocating for is that our curriculum should change or be improved to incorporate critical skills such as immunization, vaccine manufacturing, and all of that, so that pharmacists are aware that vaccines are also part of some of the things are supposed to look at as pharmacists, and we should be involved in their manufacturing and even in their dispensing and administration to the community. So those are some of the things that we advocate for in terms of policy, and some of them are adapted. Some of them we are still working with other non-governmental organizations just to set it up and all of that. So IPSF does quite a lot, and depending on your areas of interest, if you like the papers, if you like researching, looking at policies and all of that, we have you covered. If you like if you like the industry area and all of that, we offer you experiential learning and workshops. So depending on your areas of interest, there's a lot of opportunity for you to tap into it and see where, like, you explore your strengths, look at your weaknesses, improve on that, and grow to be a better pharmacist. And hopefully in future you can even tap into the bigger opportunities available. So on to the next part of the presentation, youth and leadership. As I've mentioned, or even as the previous speakers mentioned, pharmacists tend to be leaders within the different spaces that they are in. Even within the community pharmacy, people will tend to look up to you since you have the knowledge. You've read about the drugs, you know, the pharmacology and all of that. Please guide us on this and this. If it's in terms of if it's in terms of the industry, you have already gone through pharmaceutics. You know how things are manufactured. Most of the time within the Kenyan space anyway, if you're getting into the industrial space as a pharmacist, of course you might join in as an assistant here and there, but then eventually you tend to move towards the supervision area. You tend to be the leader in that and everything else. Even in research, I know quite a number of pharmacists who are leading different types of research. So by default, pharmacists normally tend to be leaders in different spaces or in different teams. But then how best are we preparing ourselves to get into that space? For me, maybe I could give a little. When we reading books is quite good, and it gives you an insight on what you should be, the skills you should gain, and if it's in terms of being proactive, time management, leadership skills, communication skills, it tells you. But then, are you really practicing it? Are you putting it onto the ground and gaining that experience itself? Because you'll never really know time management until you are really managing your time. You have this to do, you have this to do, you have this to accomplish. You're working with different teams. You have to improve your communication skills. You have to ensure that everyone is covered. So getting into leadership as a pharmacist, it needs you to get yourself out there, expose yourself into that world. So my journey onto, maybe this is now the main part of what I was supposed to present, but then just from my bio, I actually started around in my second year of studies. Obviously, during my high school, I was a prefect here and there and managing a few things here and there, because in high school you have the time, you can volunteer in different places. But then in university, there's always it's kind of unrestricted. You are there to manage yourself. So when I got into my first year of university, I was a little bit just relaxed, not getting into so many things. But then I realized that I wanted to also kind of grow myself in university. I think I met one speaker who was saying one thing that we never really realize is university is basically the what can I say? It's like what is the best word to use? But it's like a short version of what adulthood should look like, or it's like an opportunity for you to prepare yourself very well for adulthood. In high school, you're still a baby, you're still under the protection of your guardian or your parent. But then in university is where you have to learn yourself. You have to understand yourself better. You have to kind of know which path you're going into, and you prepare yourself way more easily for your adulthood life. So by the time I was reaching my second year, I really wanted to get myself out there and to understand what is happening in the world, especially in the healthcare space. Just like the previous speaker said, community pharmacy is normally the face of pharmacists. But then in my head, I always ask myself, there has to be more. I can't really just be sitting behind the counter, giving out drugs, or maybe counseling patients on this and that. So in my second year, I made a deliberate action to get myself out there and to kind of understand what is outside there and what can I tap into beyond the community pharmacy face that we see. So I reached out to the low-hanging fruits that were available. I volunteered into different projects that were related to health, just to kind of gain more skills, understand what is in the profession and all of that. And when I was volunteering, one of the main things that I will do is to stay consistent. If there's activity, yes, I know volunteering. Okay, volunteering in Kenya, you're not paid. It is purely out of your pocket. Even if you're traveling to a different place, it is out of your pocket. So if I'm going to put that much investment, I must get something out of that. So I would always be consistent in my work. If something is given to me, or if I'm to handle something, I'd ensure that I deliver results. I'm proactive, I respond enough, and all of that. And through these volunteering opportunities, I just started as a casual person. But then with time, you'd find that they'd nominate me. Michelle, could you lead this team in this particular area? Michelle, could you handle this? Michelle, could you handle this? And with time, when people see you, or when your mentors see the consistency that you have, then they kind of gain the courage or the faith in you, and then they refer you to a big opportunity. One thing that I think summarizes this well is success begets success. If you do one thing well, then the next door will open. one way or the other, the next door will open. So that's just how it started, volunteering in this and this area. Then you'd find my mentor or a leader in that particular area would say, Michele really works well in this. Please give her more responsibilities in this. And with more responsibilities, you gain more skills and you learn more. And it's just, what can I say? It's like a ripple effect. Yes, as long as you do one task well, then someone will recognize, as small as it is, someone will recognize and they'll refer you to another task, and you do it well and you'll gain more responsibilities, you'll gain more faith, and you'll gain more confidence in yourself on how best you should grow. So my leadership, it's leadership, maybe what I can say, this journey is not something straight that it's not something straight. You learn through different experiences. And for me, one of the main things that helped me gain these experiences is the volunteering opportunities. Anyway, but through that, I volunteered in my second year, my third year, on to my fourth year. I think it was actually my third year. It's when I heard about IPSF. And I was really interested because, yes, I've heard that pharmacists are leaders and pharmacists are in charge of this and pharmacists do this and do this. But I hadn't really seen a lot of pharmacists work and deliver and, achieve different things. So I joined IPSF just to see and observe what pharmacists can do outside the traditional area. And through IPSF, I got to learn a lot. I don't mean to say that IPSF is the only place that you can learn, but different organizations or different areas that you can tap into, they tend to teach you a lot in terms of problem solving, team management, team communication, critical thinking, looking at problems and determining the best the best solutions to solve them. It all comes from experience and trying to understand and seeing how different things are solved, and then contextualizing your solutions to that particular problem that you have. So that's how I grew, and I started volunteering and all of that, and I've been getting into different organizations, being proactive. If there's a way that if maybe I have an interest in something, I start small, get to learn about that area, take more responsibilities in it, and then grow your skills in that particular area. If you're investing your time in something, please ensure that you get or gain something from it, because time is a very precious thing. So leadership is not really a straightforward path. Everyone has different routes that they take to get the final destination of being a leader or something like that. But then your journey starts from you taking the first step in getting into different roles of responsibilities, delivering those responsibilities effectively, learning from the mistakes that you make through those in different places, and driving yourself or propelling yourself further. But one thing I'll continue stressing is success begets success, because once you're successful in one thing, trust me, then the rest will come to follow. Maybe I'll also give an example of some of the CEOs I've noticed within Kenya. You'd find the CEOs are normally poached. From what I've seen, you'd find one person is a CEO in this organization or in this company. Within the next 3 years, they've been poached to be a CEO in this other company, because people always see what you deliver. You deliver your tasks and your responsibilities as to the best abilities that you can. And for sure, someone will notice and you will grow from there. So I haven't touched, I don't know if I've touched on a lot, but then some of the lessons, some of the highlights that I just like to emphasize, especially in leadership and trying to grow yourself in it, there's only one way to begin, and just start. I think one of the moderators has said this. The first thing you have to do is just start. Get into that organization, request that you'd like to volunteer, you'd request that you'd like to have an internship there, you'd like to get an opportunity to just assist or shadow a particular professor or anything. There's only one way to begin. one example that I'd also give, as from my bio, I'm very interested in science and I love research. Research, if you look at the opportunities that come in Kenya in terms of research, they want a research assistant who has this and this and these skills. But then you see, I'm still a student, or I've just recently graduated. I don't have those skills. But then how can I gain those skills without necessarily getting the research assistant job? I can volunteer to shadow a research professor or a research assistant in a particular project, and I gain those skills. And when the next time I'm applying for a particular opportunity, I'll say, I shadowed this research assistant in this, I got this and these skills, and that's why I'm qualified for this opportunity. So the only way to begin leadership, or even those opportunities that you're envisioning yourself to getting into, is to start. Find one anyway and start, because if you don't start, then your journey will never begin. So that's the first point that I've mostly learned. The next one is grab or create the opportunities. I think most of us have had this, what is it? It's a quote that if there's no seat for you at the table, then bring your own seat. But then recently I met this person who said, if there's no seat for you at the table, then buy your own table, bring 2 chairs, sit on one chair, and invite people to sit on the table. So that basically means if there's no, yes, sometimes you have to squeeze yourself into that boardroom and get a seat, because if there's a major decision being made, you have to be there. But then if in case there's a way that you're thinking an opportunity can be solved better, or an issue can be addressed better, bring your own table, bring your own seats, and create that opportunity. That will create a brand for you, and you'll be able to initiate your journey through that career path that you want, or that leadership journey that you want. And then people will also recognize the proactive nature in you, and they'll continue joining you and supporting you throughout your journey. So grab opportunities that you see, but if you can't grab them, create the opportunity yourself, because it is up to you to drive yourself and accomplish your dreams and your journey and even your goals. No one else will do it for you. It's just you. Then leadership is a very lifelong journey. Every day you learn. What I learned when I was a second year student, just starting into my volunteering opportunity, it has contributed to what I'm learning right now. And right now I'm still learning a lot about team dynamics, about monitoring and evaluation, about team management and all of that. So leadership, sometimes you don't learn everything at the same time. Sometimes some lessons come in at different points of your life. So it's a journey. You have to be open to learning. You have to be open to adapting yourself into the different situations you'll get yourself into. You have to be open into life and trying to learn as much as possible within your career. So it's not a one-time thing. It's up to you to continuously grow yourself. Maybe I'll also give an example. Recently, I attended a conference and I met a lot of women who are within one of the career paths that I'm really hoping to get into. And I've also done a few leadership courses with Yali and all of that. And she was telling me, Michelle, no, okay, you've done this, but there's always something else to learn in leadership. After you've done this, sign up on this one. It offers a different perspective in terms of leadership and all of that. So you have to be ready to learn in each and every single step. It's not just a one-time thing and then that's all, I'm now a leader. You have to learn, continue learning, and implement what you learn. Otherwise, it will all be in vain. Yeah, so these are just some of the few things I've learned in addition to what the previous speaker has said. But it's the first step that I'd just like to emphasize is to start. You never reach that far if you do not start. Just like I think when the bio of the previous speaker was being mentioned, he started as a med rep, and right now he's leading a whole AstraZeneca company. The first thing he did was to start. It wasn't that he jumped or flew onto that position. You just have to start And with time, you carve out your own career opportunities, you carve out your own journey, and you'll get where you are. Yeah. So that's basically what I have. It's very short. I was just mostly sharing my experience, hopefully just to inspire you and let you know that this is totally doable. But the first thing you have to do is to start, and you learn throughout the process. Yeah. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't know if I'll be open for any questions in case they arise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michele. That was a lot. There was a lot to unpack. So we'll be moving quickly to the question and answer session, and I'll be handing over to David Openg. If I can see that.
Thank you. Many thanks to our guest speakers. Thanks for the words of wisdom, the enlightening words. I'm overwhelmed with the enlightenment I've gotten from speeches. So I want to welcome everyone to address their questions to the speakers. Maybe the approach we're going to take is you could type in your questions in the chat box and I'll read them. And also if you could, maybe you could raise your hand, but most preferably you could type your question and I'll read it to the speakers. And to start with, there's a question from Emanuela Chiamaka. This was directed to Maurice Nyarko. And the question was, but if we always follow the trend, how do we become professionals and consultants in our pre-chosen sector? Or do we just keep pursuing whatever is trending? If I may just repeat the question. If we always follow the trend, how do we become professionals and consultants in our pre-chosen sector? Or do we just keep pursuing whatever is trending? Kindly, Maurice, I will appreciate if you respond to that.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. We can hear you, sir.
Very interesting question. Thanks for asking. So, whatever is your chosen area, follow with passion, right? But the point I'm making is that it's a continuously evolving world, right? If you stay stagnant, you're retrogressing. So whichever area you are in, it's important for you to know what is cutting edge. Know what is cutting edge. If you're in pharmacy, the practice of pharmacy changes. It changes. It's a continuous evolution, and you need to be aware. You do not pursue every trend, no, but you need to be aware. It is the same with AI, right? I mean, IT. So today you can compose posts on LinkedIn. You can compose so much aided by AI. What you could do in 3 hours or in 4 hours, 3 years ago, AI will give you that in 3 minutes, and then you just need to refine. So it makes your life easier. And this is just one example. Today we have, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana, we are leveraging AI to improve diagnosis of patients with lung cancer. Many TB patients actually keep on being given the same medication. They're given multiple courses of the TB medications, and their symptoms are not improving. And a lot of times we do not know they're actually lung cancer patients. Now, over the past 2-3 months, it is an innovation that we're actually using to scan a lot of the x-rays coming in to really pinpoint, and with more accuracy, we're able to tell who actually has lung cancer versus TB. This is an example of staying with the trend, right? So it is not to say see every trend and pursue every trend blindly, whichever area you are in. And I mentioned that there are two areas that you need to be keen on. One is the industry you are in. What is the trend unfolding in your industry? It doesn't necessarily mean follow blindly, but know that trend, one. And then the other is the IT trend. And at any point in time, we should know. It used to be mainframe computing, right? Today, who talks about mainframe computing? Today is a word of tablet and small-sized smartphones, Apple, etc. You just need to stay current, right? It is not to follow every trend blindly. I don't know whether you have a different or a better perspective to what I was looking to deliver now. But let me know if you want me to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your response. Maybe Emanuela, I hope you are satisfied with the response, and everyone of us gets to that. Moving on, Vanessa Agisobu is asking, how do I place myself in positions where I can gain access to mentors? And also to combine this question with that one of Gabriel, how do I ask one to be my mentor? So just to repeat, how do I place myself in positions where I can gain access to mentors? And how do I ask one to be my mentor? This is directed still to Maurice Nyarko.
Thank you. So, good leaders create followers, right? But great leaders create other leaders. I can tell you for a fact that most great leaders out there are looking for other people to make leaders as well. It's simple. Be confident and reach out to them. And what I tell people is, who do you want to be like? Who do you want to be like? Send them an email. Introduce yourself. This is where I am in life. These are the things I really want to improve on. You're a role model. I really admire you from afar. I really would appreciate if I could be your mentee. 30 minutes every month or every 2 months, or I want you to be somebody I can run to with issues. Don't be asking money. Don't be asking for money from your mentors. And a couple of mentees make that mistake. So usually mentors want to be sure that you're engaging them for the right reasons, right? Any great leader I know is looking for an opportunity to impact and grow other leaders. If you walk up to them very confident, very purposeful, chances are that they'll be interested in you. But the moment they are interested in you, make sure you do not waste their time. If they say, let's schedule 30 minutes at this time, be ready. Have an agenda. Have 2 or 3 things you want to discuss with them. The discussion should be focused. It should be tailored. It shouldn't be all about the place, right? You should make them feel that 30 minutes they spent with you is valuable, right? So I would say these guys are actually looking for people to mentor. Don't be scared. Approach them. Send them a note, send them an email, right? Don't keep it to just one person. I have about 5 mentors, right? So identify 3 or 4 different people who you really admire and who you want to be like, right? And then write to them, approach them, very confident. Once they see you as a prospect, chances are that they will reach out to you as well. Once they see you are passionate about seeking knowledge, you are passionate about growing. Once they are convinced they are not going to waste their time paying you attention, trust me, you may be surprised at how seriously they will take you. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. And just as a follow-up on the same by Peniel, How do I maintain a vibrant and useful relationship once I get a mentor, considering their schedule? How do I maintain a vibrant and useful relationship with my mentor, considering their schedule?
Thank you for that question as well. I think what a mentor really wants to see is that you are serious, you are not wasting their time, and you are passionate about growing. And there are so many different ways a mentor will assess that, right? Number one, how well are you following up on this mentor showing that you are serious about mentorship? Number two, you should be responsible for scheduling times. Check. Are you available in 3 weeks? Can we book this date? Can I book it on your calendar? Would this time be okay for you? You need to follow up, right? And again, once you book that time, so you need to own the sessions. That's what I mean, actually, right? So you don't get into a session with a mentor and it is the mentor who is setting the agenda. As the mentee, you should set the agenda. If you do not know what to talk about, research. What are good areas or good discussion topics to have with my mentor? You have lots and lots of examples online, things to get you thinking, right? And then you send, a typical mentorship discussion agenda. You send a text to your mentor that, see, what do you wished you knew? What do you wish? What do you know today? Or dear mentor, what do you know today that you wished you knew when you were my age? And I want to break it down into the areas. How to manage my finance, how to manage my personal relationships, how to manage my relationship at work, how to manage my personal well-being and health. It's a good example of a discussion you can have with your mentor. But then so again, it's about the quality of the content and your readiness, right? That proves to a mentor that you are the person that you pay attention to, right? Just do a little bit of research. But I promise you, every great leader out there is looking for the next person to create a leader out of. So people are waiting for you to hear from you. But then you need to be ready, and you need to make sure that you set the agenda, and it needs to be very purposeful. You need to own the discussions, and that is how they see you are serious and they pay you attention as well, and they invest in you.
Oh, I believe those have been answered to the best of his ability. Yes. So looking at another question, these ones are directed to Michele. How do I become a member of IPS? I'm from Gambia. I'm studying in Morocco. And another one from Sarah to Michele. How were you able to balance your activities as a student and volunteer?
Thank you. I think I'll begin with the latest question, how I balanced. Sorry, there's a plane moving ahead. Okay, so I'll begin with the most recent question, how I balanced everything with my academia. I think every pharmacy student knows that the course is not the simplest course around. You're constantly engaged, you're probably in class, or you have classes from 8 to 5, and the only other possible hours you can walk around is anything outside that. So, okay, for me particularly, how I think the schedule that we have in school kind of assisted me in trying to plan myself or managing my time better. because for us, we have semesters and our exams are specifically in the last month of the semester. So I had 3 months to work around and kind of do other different extracurricular things on top of my education. So what I'd first advise, okay, you understand your school calendar better. You know when you'll be having cuts, when you'll be having exams and all of that. So the main thing is that you need to excel well in your academics or excel as per your set targets, and then you can plan other times around that. Now, for me, what I will do, weekends definitely I'd have them booked in different things that I want to do, whether it's doing some work or volunteering in different places or working in different organizations or meeting different people. That I'd specifically do that during the weekends. But then for the weekdays, if in case I'd have free time in the evenings or early in the mornings, I will do some remote work that doesn't necessarily require me to meet people. So, okay, the main thing that I'm trying to say is that you can look at your schedule, then try and look at what are my free hours within this time, what can I do within this time, what tasks can I do quickly within an hour, what can I do, what requires me to be physically present in this, and then work around your time to kind of allocate different sessions for you to also do extracurricular work. One friend that I have, or maybe she's kind of my development partner or partner that we always check on each other to ensure that we're both progressing well in terms of our career. She's like, she's someone who we keep each other in check. She told me recently that you'll create time for what you want. Even maybe I could just use the same example that the Pharm Morris has said. If your mentor says that we have to meet in the next 30 minutes, you will create time to meet that mentor within 30 minutes. So if you know this and this, you want to do this and this can happen, then look at your schedule, then create time or carve out time out of the different free times that you have to kind of implement that. And I think that will at least help you in as you try to balance the two. Yeah. To the other question, Gambia is not yet an IPSF member, but then I can easily drop my email or my phone number on the chat box, and then he could get in touch with me so that we could see how best he could benefit from some of the IPSF activities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's a very fine response. If I may add a bit to that on the mentorship. So I think you should have very open and transparent discussions with your mentor, right? So if, for instance, if you are not able to make that 30 minutes, maybe I would recommend you being very open with your mentor. Let him know 30 minutes it's tough for you. Find out if there is any other time available. Because what I have seen in my own experience, mentees who have committed to a certain time. I'll give you an example. So I'm literally booked from morning till night. There are times I could schedule 30 minutes for a mentee. Maybe I have 30 minutes during my lunch, maybe between 1 to 1:30 p.m. So I plug out of work, I log into the session, and the mentee comes in at 1:20. It's very disheartening. You get it. It's not that the mentee doesn't have a valid reason, but I mean, it's 20 minutes of my time that I could have planned to do something else. So my request again may be that if you really can make that time, stick with it. But if you really cannot make that time, be open, be transparent, let your mentor know you are not able to make it. But once you agree to a timing, there's no going back, right? It's really important for you to make that time. It's an addition I thought I would just add to what has been already shared. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Maurice, with an inquiry from Precious. can you tell us more about opportunities in the industrial stroke manufacturing pharmacy? And also, with the question from Sarah regarding, you briefly talked about military pharmacy. How do one get into that aspect? Must one be enforced, or is there any extra training that they have to undergo? Maurice? Maurice, are you still here?
Hello, I'm here. Can you kindly repeat the question, the one directed to me?
We have a question. One is, can you tell us more about the opportunities in industrial pharmacy, and also talk about how one can enter into military pharmacy? Are there any extra trainings that one has to undergo? That is industrial pharmacy and military pharmacy.
So I don't know too much about military pharmacy. I didn't mention that, right? I am aware though that both in Ghana and in Nigeria, we have pharmacists who work for the various security forces. So there are pharmacists who work within the military. I know they usually, it's you applying to be part of the security forces, actually. So there are various qualifications. If you go into the military, you have pharmacists, you have doctors, you have engineers, you have biomedical engineers. They all apply to go into the military because the military needs these different professions, right? I know typically they run periodic recruitment. They do that. And I know they have their own system of vetting and determining who is fit to join. I think I actually did apply. Actually, I applied to work in the military. They didn't. I wasn't chosen for whatever reason. I do not know. But I know it is not. I do not think it's any extra or special training beyond what you already have as part of your qualification. Yeah. And then with regards to opportunities in industrial pharmacy, I think it depends on what aspect of industry you're looking at. If you're thinking work with a global pharma, right? Work with global pharma, the opportunities are varied and a lot. You could enter into the commercial aspect of it, which is what a lot of pharmacists actually find very fulfilling, which is pharmaceutical marketing. I started as a medical sales representative myself, marketing some brands. You are charged with knowing everything about a product. So if you belong to, let's say, the cardiovascular team of a company, it means that everything concerning that brand, as well as everything unfolding globally in that therapy area, you should be on top of it. Should there be any guidelines released in the US and Europe today, you need to be on top of that, because that informs the kind of engagement and conversations you have with doctors, with pharmacists, with the healthcare givers in your country. So that is commercial. And as a rep, gradually, you begin to grow into other areas. In my own instance, I was a medical sales representative, and then I became a key account manager. A key account manager essentially means that we say 20% of the people you see give you 80% of the business, right? The 80-20 rule. So as a key account manager, your focus is on that critical 20% that delivers 80% of the business. So more or less, you are given customized, you are given a very segmented. Thank you for muting. So, and then you are in charge of that 20% that drives the bigger fortune of the company. That is key account management. At a point, I was responsible for market access as well. Market access essentially means ensuring as many patients have access to your company's medication. And there are a lot of barriers. Pricing is one barrier, right? Pricing is one barrier. There are ways to create access for patients around companies' medication portfolio. Beyond pricing, there are other gaps around even capacity building. If the doctors don't have the requisite knowledge on the therapy area, they won't initiate patients on your medications. So even building capacity with the doctors you see, the pharmacists you see, the nurses providing the right information for them. That is also part of ensuring access. I mean, in my company, we are big on oncology, which is cancer management. In the area of lung cancer, for instance, there are certain we call it precision medicine. There are certain tests that need to be done before a patient can be considered a good option for your brand. I spoke about pharmacogenomics earlier on in my presentation. So it is not enough to know that this patient has lung cancer. You need to do what we call molecular testing. You need to test for the presence of a certain mutation in the gene. If it is positive, it means that yes, if you place this patient on these medications, they will benefit. But then you realize in Nigeria, we don't do molecular testing. In Ghana, we do not do molecular testing. In Kenya, molecular testing, I think I know of only one lab in the whole of Kenya that molecular testing is done. Every testing in Nigeria, Ghana currently is shunted to South Africa or Europe, right? So part of your work as an access manager, it's knowing fully well that until you breach that diagnostic barrier, there are so many patients who still will not benefit. So how do you create a solution around the many patients in your country who need to be properly diagnosed even before your product can be given to them? That is access. So the opportunities are a lot and diverse. I mentioned medical affairs, what they do. It was captured in the previous presentation I did. There's regulatory as well. There is even HR, all that is an industrial pharma. So the opportunities are varied, but to the best of my knowledge, and especially in our part of the world, the clearest entry level, right, is to enter as a medical sales representative like I did. And if you are diligent, if you are passionate, if you have the passion for growth, if you practice all the things we've just learned today, your growth can be that rapid, right? And talking about industry, I mean, if we go into local manufacturing, I told you it's an area I'm very passionate about. 70% of our medication needs in Africa are imported. They are imported, right? There are challenges around. The entrepreneurs will tell you they don't have money. They will tell you there's lack of capital. They go to government and they're paying interest rate of 20% and above. We do not manufacture our own APIs. APIs are the active pharmaceutical ingredients. So even for local manufacturer, they need to import the API for paracetamol. They need to import their excipients before then they formulate that locally. All these are not done, but like I keep saying, for the fact that 70% of our medication needs are imported. I won't pretend to be an expert in this area, but I strongly believe that for those of you who will be coming out of school in the next 2, 3 years, 4 years, this is an area that you should begin to think about. If you have opportunity for internship, go into industry, look for the local. I think there are close to 40 serious local manufacturers in Kenya. I was checking online yesterday in preparation for this discussion. Find some internship, some fellowship to do with these local manufacturers. And when you go there, understand the company's business model. How do they make money? Understand how the various roles by everybody in the company ties to making the company profitable, right? These are experiences you begin to hone. And some of us on this call could be the next big industry giant. I strongly believe that is possible. It just depends on what you begin to do today and what you begin to pay attention to today. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Over to Michele. I have a question here. Sorry. Aside from student organizations, are there other organizations students can volunteer to help? Aside from student organizations, are there organizations students can volunteer to help? And also, are the IPSF opportunities and activities open to final year students? And what activities would you recommend as most beneficial to final year students and also fourth year students?
Thank you for that. For the organizations people can volunteer or get experiential learning in, what I'd say is that it depends on your interest. I'll give you an example. When I was in my fourth year, we were having a long holiday. Our long holidays normally last for around 5 months or something like that. So what myself and this other friend of mine who we kind of keep each other in check, what we did was that we went to the narcotics laboratory. It's okay, in Kenya we call it NASCOP. And we requested them, we told them, we went to the secretary and we told her, hello, how are you? We are students from this university. We are currently in our fourth year and we have 5 months free. And we have read about your organization. We are interested in it and we'd like to get experiential learning in it. Are there any opportunities that we can have? And shockingly, she told us that we've not had any students showing interest in this. Please, if you're available by next week, Monday, come into the office and we can get you started onto the opportunity. And that's how we kept ourselves occupied for those 5 months. So what I'd say is that don't limit yourself to student organizations. Student organizations are good because you also leverage on the fundings and the opportunities that are specifically tailored for the youth. But if in case you feel that you would like to learn about maybe cancer, you'd like to get into the research laboratory in your country, if you'd like to have different skill sets or knowledge from different organizations, the first step that you should just take, just go. If they have a physical location, go there and talk to the secretaries or the person in charge and tell them you have this free time and you'd like to learn, you have this to offer. Please, can they allow you to just get into it? Depending on how you present yourself, I'm sure some of these opportunities will just open themselves to you. Quite a number of times we limit ourselves in our head because you think, they'll probably reject me. But you never know, maybe they've been waiting for you to just come and ask them. Yeah, so don't limit yourself depending on your area of interest. Just go ahead and ask, can I get to learn about this? The worst that they can say is no. And even if they tell you no, you won't die. So once they tell you no, you move to the next organization and you inquire. So it's just up to you to be proactive, get out there and ask. The worst that can happen is that you'll be told no, and that one you can recover. So just don't worry, get yourself out there. Yes, for the activities, they're open for everyone from first year up to the final year, and also up to 4 years after your graduation. So if in case you'd like to get into different internships, sometimes we normally have internships that last for around 6 months or so, and you have finished your final year, you have a whole gap year to kind of realign yourself, and you see an internship opportunity that you've shared, you can apply and then get into it. So it's totally open for everyone from first year up to 4 years post your graduation, and you can get into anything at all. This is your time to learn and just leverage on the opportunities that are available through the federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle and Maurice, for your responses to the questions. I believe there's no question has been left out. And in the interest of time, thank you also, fellows, for your questions. And in the interest of time, I will pass the baton to Live for the next activity.
Okay, thank you, Pharm Maurice. Okay, sorry, David, are you done?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Mrs. Morris. Thank you, everyone, for engaging. So, before we round up this opening ceremony, we have one of our alumni here. We'll be having the alumni spotlight, just as I mentioned at the beginning of the opening ceremony. We have Olabusuyi to come and share his PIH experience in 5 minutes. I believe he's on the call. He was on the call a few minutes ago. Okay, so I guess network. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today's session. I believe that we'd also have another time during the program where we'd have, specifically have the alumni spotlight, where we'd have, some of our alumni to come and share their Pharma Incubation of experience, so that, even as fellows, we can also know how to effectively maximize our time and our period during the cohort. And I believe that we've taken a lot of information from this session. And it's not just about, hearing, it's about putting them into practice. It's about doing. We've heard about mentorship. We've heard about personal branding. We've heard about being intentional about everything that we do. We've heard about, there's no Nigerian standard, no Ghana standard. There is a global standard. So it's that global standard that we should all be looking forward to. So we shouldn't see anything as limitation, anything at all. We shouldn't see them as limitation. Whether you are Black, whether you are from any country, do not see that as a limitation, So we've learned a lot from today's session, and I believe that after this session, I'll be looking forward to our LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn pages to share some of the takeaways that we've gotten from the opening ceremony, and we can share. Okay, we have one of our alumni, Godfrey Somtochukwu from Cohort 1. Godfrey, can you please share in 5 minutes? Can you just share your Pharma Incubation of your PIH experience? How has PIH impacted you during your cohort, the mentorship, the webinar? Can you just unmute and share in 5 minutes? Hello, Godfrey, can you hear me? Hello. Okay, I don't think he's on the call any longer. Okay, so I don't think he's on the call any longer. So would work towards having a session during the period of the cohort. So I'd hand over to Pharmacist Taiwo to give us the closing remarks as we end the session for today, and allow us to sink in all that we've learned in today's ceremony.
Okay, thank you very much. I see that Godfrey is back. So maybe we could give Godfrey 1 or 2 minutes to share briefly his own experience in the course of the cohort. By the way, Godfrey was in cohort 1. That was in 2019, our very first cohort, right? Before we even thought of expanding to other schools in Nigeria, before we even thought that would expand to other pharmacy schools in Africa. By the way, Godfrey recently got a recognition in a healthcare hackathon as one of the top performers. So congratulations, Godfrey. Godfrey, are you able to speak? 1 or 2 minutes, just share your experience in the course of your of the fellowship at your time, and even in the alumni community? Godfrey, are you able to speak? You need to unmute. Oh, seems he's unable to speak. All right, then. That is fine. That is fine. Thank you so much, everyone. I know we have gone beyond the allotted time, right? But I'm grateful. I am grateful that we've had the very best to speak with us today. Our facilitators, our speakers have shared from their hearts. And it was very nice to see a lot of us resonate with all that they shared. Sharing in the chat section many of our key takeaways. Fantastic. So as you have heard, please go on LinkedIn to tag the speakers, tag Pharma Incubation Hub, share your key takeaways, and more importantly, go on to act. You heard from Michele, start. Very important to start, take action. I'm sure that from Maurice Nyarko's session has enlightened you on the limitless opportunities that are available in pharmacy practice. So that shows you that you have enough opportunity to explore in pharmacy. There is no limitation. There is no boundary whatsoever. And we really, really cannot wait to see you soar. We really, really cannot wait to see you excel, even in the course of the fellowship and beyond, so that you'll be one of those who will drive the change that we seek in the healthcare sector in your various countries, in Africa, and indeed all over the world. I wish you all the best and congratulations once again to all of you. The 5-month fellowship has officially commenced. It's not going to be easy, I can tell you. Some of you may not be able to graduate if you do not put in the work, if you don't show up, if you don't do as required. But I'm sure that you're up to the task, right? Because you met the very, very critical requirements to even get in. And you can definitely meet the requirements even to graduate from the fellowship. Well done. I look forward to seeing all of you reconvene with us at the closing ceremony next year. Bye, everybody, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.